Childhood and Education, 735 to 755. John Adams was born on October 30th, 1735, in Braintree, Massachusetts, now the city of Quincy, into a middle-class colonial family. His father, John Adams Sr., was a farmer and shoemaker, as well as an active member of the local community, serving as a town selectman and a deacon in the church. His mother, Susanna Boylston Adams, came from a prominent family in the region. From an early age, Adams was expected to pursue an academic and religious career, but he soon displayed an independent and curious nature. He described himself as an energetic boy who preferred outdoor adventures over sitting in a classroom. However, with encouragement from his father, he began to take his studies seriously. In 1751, at the age of 16, Adams enrolled at Harvard College, one of the leading educational institutions of the time. Initially, he planned to become a minister, but during his studies, he developed a growing interest in law and political philosophy. After graduating in 1755, Adams worked as a teacher for a while before deciding to pursue a career in law. In 1758, he completed his legal apprenticeship under the guidance of renowned lawyer James Putnam and officially became an attorney. In the early years of his career, Adams not only built a reputation in the legal field, but also began to take an interest in political matters and the colony's struggle for liberty, an issue that would shape his life in the years to come. Political career and the American Revolution, in 1755 to 1783. After becoming a lawyer, John Adams quickly built a reputation for his sharp intellect and strong stance on liberty and justice. During the 1760s, tensions between the North American colonies and the British government escalated, especially after the British Parliament imposed various tax laws without colonial representation. Adams became increasingly involved in politics and began writing essays criticizing British rule. The British Soldiers' Trial and the Principle of Justice, 1770. One of the key events that brought Adams into the political spotlight was his role as the defense attorney for British soldiers in the Boston Massacre trial of 1770. On March 5, 1770, British soldiers fired into a protesting crowd in Boston, killing 5 people. Although he was a supporter of independence, Adams firmly believed that everyone deserved a fair trial. He defended the British soldiers, arguing that they had acted in self-defense. While this decision was unpopular among many patriots, it demonstrated Adams' commitment to principle, placing the law above personal emotions. This earned him greater respect in political circles. Leading the independence movement, 1774 to 1776. As tensions with Britain escalated, Adams became a delegate from Massachusetts to the First Continental Congress in Philadelphia in 1774, where he met leaders such as George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, and Benjamin Franklin. He became one of the strongest voices advocating for independence, arguing that the colonies should determine their own future rather than be ruled by an oppressive monarchy. When the American Revolutionary War broke out in April 1775, with the battles of Lexington and Concord, Adams played a key role in organizing the colonial military. He proposed appointing George Washington as the commander-in-chief of the Continental Army, a pivotal decision that provided the Revolution with strong leadership. In 1776, Adams became a member of the Committee of Five, tasked with drafting the Declaration of Independence, alongside Thomas Jefferson, Benjamin Franklin, Roger Sherman, and Robert R. Livingston. Although Jefferson was the primary author, Adams played a crucial role in defending and promoting the document before Congress. Finally, on July 4, 1776, the Declaration of Independence was officially adopted, laying the foundation for the birth of the United States. Diplomatic efforts and the Treaty of Paris, 1778 to 1783. After independence was declared, Adams not only served as a political leader, but also played a significant role in diplomacy. In 1778, he was sent as a diplomatic representative to France to seek support for the war. Although he did not achieve great success in Paris due to Benjamin Franklin's dominant role in negotiations, Adams still contributed to establishing connections with other European nations. From 1780 to 1782, Adams served as an ambassador to the Netherlands, where he successfully negotiated critical financial loans that helped sustain the American war effort against Britain. His most significant achievement during this period was working alongside Benjamin Franklin and John Jay to negotiate and sign the Treaty of Paris in 1783. This treaty officially recognized the United States as an independent nation and brought the Revolutionary War to an end. Legacy of the Revolutionary Era. Over nearly 2 decades, John Adams rose from being a small-town lawyer to one of the most influential leaders of the American Revolution. He not only played a key role in securing the nation's independence, but also helped lay the foundation for its government and diplomatic relations. The invaluable experiences he gained during this time would shape the next phase of his political career. Vice Presidency and Presidency, 1789 to 1801. The first Vice President of the United States, 1789 to 1797. After the U.S. Constitution was ratified in 1788, John Adams ran in the nation's first presidential election in 1789. Under the electoral system at the time, the candidate with the most electoral votes would become president, while the runner-up would become vice president. George Washington won by a landslide, and Adams came in second, making him the first vice president of the United States. During Washington's presidency, Adams had little real power because the Constitution did not clearly define the vice president's role. His primary duty was serving as president of the Senate, where he held the tie-breaking vote. Adams used this power over 30 times, more than any vice president after him. Although Washington rarely consulted Adams on government matters, Adams played a key role in shaping national policy. He supported a strong federal government and frequently debated with political opponents, especially Thomas Jefferson's faction, which favored greater power for individual states. Presidential election and victory, 1796. In 1796, when Washington chose not to seek a third term, the second U.S. presidential election took place, marking the first major political contest between 2 opposing factions. The Federalists, led by Adams, who supported a strong central government. The Democratic Republicans, led by Thomas Jefferson, who wanted to give more power to the states and opposed pro-British policies. Adams won the election with 71 electoral votes, while Jefferson finished second with 68 votes. This led to an ironic situation. Under the electoral system at the time, Jefferson, Adams' main political rival, became his vice president. Presidency, 1797 to 1801. Adams' presidency was marked by international tensions and domestic political conflicts. Some of the most significant events during his term include 1. Conflict with France, the Quasi-War. When Adams took office, the U.S. faced growing difficulties with revolutionary France. Although Washington had declared neutrality in the war between Britain and France, both nations ignored America's position. France, in particular, began attacking American merchant ships, escalating tensions. In 1797, Adams sent a diplomatic delegation to Paris to resolve the crisis, but French officials demanded bribes before negotiations could proceed. This scandal, known as the XYZ affair, outraged the American public and led to an undeclared naval conflict with France from 1798 to 1800, known as the Quasi-War. Under pressure from Federalist hawks who wanted war with France, Adams instead pursued diplomacy. He sent another peace delegation in 1800, which successfully negotiated a treaty with France, preventing a full-scale war. This decision is now regarded as one of his greatest diplomatic achievements. The Alien and Sedition Acts, 1798. During the heightened tensions with France, Adams' administration passed a series of controversial laws known as the Alien and Sedition Acts, aimed at suppressing domestic opposition. These laws included the Alien Act, allowed the president to expel any foreign citizen deemed a threat to national security. The Sedition Act made it illegal to criticize the federal government, especially in the press. These acts faced harsh criticism, particularly from Thomas Jefferson and James Madison, who argued they violated free speech and press rights. The controversy further deepened political divisions and damaged Adams's popularity. Conflict with Alexander Hamilton and internal party divisions. Despite being a Federalist, Adams had a strained relationship with Alexander Hamilton, one of the party's leading figures. Hamilton favored an extremely powerful central government and advocated for war with France, while Adams remained committed to peace. This division weakened the Federalist Party, leading to a loss of support in the 1800 election. Hamilton even secretly worked against Adams, indirectly helping Thomas Jefferson win the presidency. The election of 1800 and defeat to Jefferson. The 1800 election was one of the most contentious in U.S. history. Thomas Jefferson, representing the Democratic Republicans, defeated Adams. Due to flaws in the electoral system, Jefferson and his running mate, Aaron Burr, received the same number of electoral votes, forcing the House of Representatives to decide the outcome. After multiple votes, Jefferson was chosen as president, while Adams peacefully accepted his defeat. On March 4, 1801, Adams left the White House early in the morning, choosing not to attend Jefferson's inauguration. Despite his loss, this peaceful transfer of power marked a critical moment in the young American democracy. Legacy of Adams' presidency. Although he served only one term, John Adams left a lasting impact, preserving peace. Despite heavy pressure, he kept the U.S. out of war with France, strengthening the U.S. Navy. His administration significantly expanded the American naval force, upholding the rule of law and democracy. Though controversial, Adams never abused his power to remain in office and accepted electoral defeat. At the time, Adams was not widely appreciated, but later historians recognize him as a principled leader who prioritized national interests over personal and partisan gains. 4. Later years and legacy, 1801 to 1826. Retirement to Massachusetts and life after politics. After leaving office on March 4, 1801, John Adams returned to his hometown of Quincy, Massachusetts, formerly Braintree, where he spent the rest of his life at his family farm. Politically isolated, he was disappointed by the decline of the Federalist Party and the rise of Thomas Jefferson and the Democratic-Republican Party. Although no longer holding public office, Adams remained deeply engaged in political and social issues. He wrote numerous letters expressing his thoughts on politics and philosophy, offering profound reflections on democracy and the future of the United States. He firmly believed in a strong but non-authoritarian government as essential for preserving liberty. Reconciliation with Thomas Jefferson. From rivals to close friends. Despite being fierce opponents in the 1800 election, Adams and Thomas Jefferson gradually mended their relationship over the years. In 1812, thanks to the mediation of Dr. Benjamin Rush, a mutual friend, the two statesmen resumed correspondence. Over the next 14 years, they exchanged more than 150 letters discussing a wide range of topics, from politics and religion to philosophy and personal life. Today, these letters are considered some of the most significant political and philosophical writings in American history. Witnessing his son's rise, John Quincy Adams. Adams also lived to see the political rise of his son, John Quincy Adams, a skilled diplomat who served as an ambassador and Secretary of State before becoming the 6th President of the United States in 1825. Seeing his son elected as president was a great source of pride for Adams, even though he did not live long enough to witness his entire presidency. This marked the first time in U.S. history that 2 generations from the same family held the office of president, laying the foundation for a political dynasty. Final years and death, 1826. Despite declining health, Adams remained mentally sharp. He continued reading, writing letters, and occasionally meeting with friends. He was regarded as the last living founding father, someone who had directly shaped the birth of the nation. On July 4, 1826, exactly 50 years after the adoption of the Declaration of Independence, John Adams passed away at his home in Quincy at the age of 90. His reported last words were, "Thomas Jefferson still survives," though Jefferson had actually passed away just a few hours earlier on the same day. The fact that both of these great leaders died on the anniversary of American independence was seen by many as a profound historical coincidence. The legacy of John Adams. Although not widely considered a great president during his time, Adams' legacy has grown in significance over the years. His contributions shaped many key aspects of American history. A brilliant political thinker, he was one of the most steadfast founding fathers, advocating for constitutional government and the rule of law. A defender of peace, His efforts to avoid full-scale war with France in the late 1790s gave the U.S. time to grow without becoming entangled in European conflicts. A pioneer of American diplomacy, his work in the Netherlands, France, and Britain helped shape the nation's international standing. A lasting family legacy. His son, John Quincy Adams, continued his work and became one of the most distinguished statesmen of the 19th century. Today, John Adams is remembered as one of the most influential figures of America's founding era. He is honored at the Adams National Historical Park in Massachusetts, and his statues stand in several locations across the U.S. His ideas on government and law continue to influence American politics to this day.